Imagine a world where a single tweet from the White House could ignite a firestorm across the Middle East. That's exactly what happened when President Trump took to X declaring a massive armada was heading straight for Iran. Time is running out, he warned. Make a deal or face far worse. The USS Abraham Lincoln, that iconic aircraft carrier, leading a fleet larger than anything seen since the Venezuela standoff. It's not just ships, it's bombers, troops, and a show of force that has the world holding its breath. But is this the bold stroke of a president of peace, as Trump claims, or the spark that could light the fuse to a nuclear nightmare? Let's rewind a bit. The tension has been building for months. Iran, reeling from internal protests that the regime crushed with brutal force, now faces an external threat from its old adversary. Trump, fresh from his role in the Gaza ceasefire, turns his gaze eastward. We're sending a massive armada to Iran, he announced. Just in case. The demands are clear. Freeze the nuclear program. End support for proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis. Or face speed and violence like never before. According to the New York Times, this marks the second time in 8 months Trump has directly threatened Iran, with the Lincoln at the helm of a force capable of rapid fulfillment of any mission. But here's the drama that's exploding online. Trump, the self-proclaimed architect of Middle East peace, now rattling sabers at Iran. ABC News reports the armada is massive, dwarfing even the Venezuela deployment. With the Lincoln as its flagship, Iran fires back. Our fingers are on the trigger, says a Tehran official, per Al Jazeera, ready for any U.S. aggression amid their own crackdown on protesters. Reuters notes Trump confirmed the fleet is en route, hoping not to use it but monitoring closely. The BBC asks, is America preparing to strike Iran again? Politico quotes Trump, able to rapidly fulfill its mission, with speed and violence. The Guardian warns of escalating U.S.-Iran war risks as time runs out for a deal. CNBC echoes, Armada heading its way, agree a nuclear deal. Or else. DW adds Trump tells Iran, time running out for nuclear deal. And another ABC report, Iranian, fingers on triggers, amid U.S. buildup. Is this masterful diplomacy or reckless brinkmanship? The world is divided, and the stakes couldn't be higher. One side sees a leader protecting American interests with overwhelming force. The other fears a repeat of past wars. With nuclear shadows looming, let's dive into the storm, exploring both sides of this explosive threat. But first, a question for you. In a world of fragile peace, is a show of strength the path to security, or the road to catastrophe? On one side of the divide, Trump's armada is hailed as a stroke of genius, a bold move from the president of peace, who just brokered the Gaza ceasefire. Supporters argue this is not aggression, but a necessary display of power to force Iran back to the negotiating table. After all, Iran has been pushing boundaries. Their nuclear program edges closer to weaponization. Proxies like the Houthis attack shipping lanes, and the regime's brutal suppression of protests shows no sign of restraint. Trump isn't starting a war, he's preventing one, they say. Look at the facts. Proponents urge, the USS Abraham Lincoln, that behemoth of the seas, isn't sailing alone. It's leading a fleet with unprecedented firepower, bombers ready to launch, troops on standby, and technology that could strike with precision unmatched in history. As Trump put it in his X post, this armada is massive, designed to deliver speed and violence if needed, but ideally to deter. The New York Times reports this threat echoes Trump's previous warnings, but now with real muscle behind it. The Lincoln's deployment signaling America means business. ABC News details the scale, larger than the Venezuela force. It's a clear message to Tehran. Negotiate or face consequences far worse than sanctions. Fans of this approach point to Trump's track record. He ended the Gaza war, they say, by applying pressure on all sides. Why not Iran? The nuclear deal is crumbling. Tehran's enrichment levels are at 60%. Just a step from weapons grade. Reuters quotes Trump confirming the fleet is en route, just in case. Monitoring Iran's moves closely, the BBC questions if the US is preparing to strike. But supporters see it as strategic posturing. Much like Reagan's peace through strength, Politico captures Trump's words. The Armada is able to rapidly fulfill its mission. With speed and violence, this isn't bluster, it's a calculated push for a new deal. One that freezes Iran's nuclear ambitions and ends proxy wars. And the timing? Perfect. They argue, Iran's regime is weakened by protests, crackdowns that have killed hundreds and exposed internal fractures. The Guardian warns of escalation, but Trump backers see opportunity. A show of force could tip the balance, forcing Tehran to the table before things spiral into chaos. CNBC echoes Trump's ultimatum: agree a nuclear deal, or else. DW notes the president's message: time running out for Iran. In this view, the Armada is a deterrent, not a declaration of war, a tool to secure peace through overwhelming superiority. But is it that simple? Supporters dismiss Iran's retort as empty rhetoric. Fingers on the trigger, Tehran says, per ABC News. But what chance does Iran have against America's might? Al Jazeera reports Iran's rejection of threats. But to Trump's allies, this is proof the pressure is working. Tehran is nervous. The Armada isn't about conquest, it's about coercion for a better deal. And if it prevents a nuclear Iran, isn't that worth the risk? After all, history shows appeasement fails, strength succeeds. Or does it? That's where the other side comes in, painting a far darker picture. On the flip side, Trump's Armada is decried as the reckless gamble of a leader more interested in spectacle than stability. Critics argue this isn't diplomacy, it's dangerous brinkmanship that could drag the world into a catastrophic war. Perhaps even nuclear. Trump, the self-anointed president of peace, for his Gaza role, now threatens speed and violence against Iran? It's hypocrisy at its finest. They say, a PR stunt that risks lives for political points. Let's unpack the alarms. Iran's nuclear program is a threat. Yes, but Trump's approach is like throwing gasoline on a fire. The New York Times highlights the scale: a fleet led by the Abraham Lincoln, ready for direct attack, the second such threat in 8 months. ABC News calls it a massive armada, dwarfing Venezuela's, amid Iran's brutal crackdown on protests. But what if Iran calls the bluff? Al Jazeera reports Tehran's response: fingers on the trigger, ready to retaliate against any U.S. aggression. Reuters notes the fleet is en route, but critics see it as escalation, not deterrence. The BBC asks, is the U.S. preparing to strike Iran again? And if so, at what cost? The nuclear shadow looms large. Iran's program is advanced, with centrifuges spinning and proxies armed. Trump's massive armada and speed and violence rhetoric, per Politico, could provoke a preemptive strike from Tehran, pulling in allies like Russia or China. The Guardian warns of US-Iran war risks as time runs out for a deal. But who's really running out of time? Critics say Trump's threats could backfire, leading to a conflict far worse than Iraq or Afghanistan. CNBC quotes the ultimatum: Armada heading its way, agree or else. DW echoes, time running out for nuclear deal. But Iran's fingers on triggers, as ABC reports, suggests they're not bluffing. Detractors point to Trump's president of peace label as ironic. He brokered Gaza, sure, but now he's stoking flames in Iran? It's all drama, they argue, a distraction from domestic woes or a bid for tough guy votes. The Armada isn't strategy, it's showmanship that could ignite a powder keg. And the human cost? Iran's protests already bloody. Trump's threats could embolden the regime to crack down harder. Or worse, trigger a regional war drawing in Israel, Saudi Arabia, and beyond. Is this the path to peace? Or a recipe for apocalypse? Critics fear the latter, urging diplomacy over displays of force. But as the Armada sails, the question lingers: will Trump's gamble pay off? Or will it plunge us into darkness? As the USS Abraham Lincoln cuts through the waves toward the Gulf, the world stands at a crossroads. On one path, Trump's Armada forces Iran to the table, yielding a new nuclear deal that secures peace for generations. On the other, a miscalculation sparks conflict, with missiles flying and economies crashing. The drama is palpable. Trump's president of peace image clashing with his speed and violence rhetoric. Is this masterful maneuvering or mad brinkmanship? The sources paint a vivid picture. The New York Times sees it as Trump's second direct threat, with demands that Iran can't ignore. ABC News emphasizes the Armada's scale, a force ready to strike, far worse if talks fail. Al Jazeera captures Iran's defiance, fingers on the trigger, poised for response. Reuters confirms the fleet is moving. Just in case measure with massive implications. The BBC questions if strike is imminent, while Politico quotes the raw threat, rapidly fulfill its mission. The Guardian warns of war escalation. CNBC of the ultimatum's urgency. DW echoes the ticking clock. And ABC the Iranian trigger finger. But beyond the headlines, the human element tugs at the heart. Iran's protesters, already facing batons and bullets, now stare down an American fleet. Trump's supporters see strength, critics see suffering amplified. The Armada isn't just ships, it's a symbol of America's might, but also its potential hubris. As tensions simmer, the world watches. Will dialogue prevail? Or will the Gulf become a battlefield? The answer could redefine global power, or destroy it. In the end, Trump's Armada sails into uncertain waters, a testament to the thin line between peace and war. One side cheers a leader unafraid to wield power. The other warns of a catastrophe waiting to happen. So, viewer, where do you stand? Is this the dawn of a new deal? Or the eve of destruction? Comment below. A for strength secures peace. B for threats breed war. Your voice might just echo to the White House. Subscribe for more on this unfolding drama. And share if you feel the tension too. Because in geopolitics, today's threat could be tomorrow's reality.